Okay, this is a PowerPoint presentation that is posted in Blackboard as well, in case you want to just have the raw PowerPoint file to look at later. But this recording will detail the presentation options that you have to present the content that you learned and researched for your paper in the class. Basically, you have several different options for this presentation, the first of which is a traditional presentation done with PowerPoint or Keynote if you happen to have a Mac. Or you may want to investigate an online tool called Prezi, the web link is here, so that you can use a web-based presentation tool that is pretty easy to use and quick to get started on and completely free. You could also choose to do a digital story. If you're the type of person who doesn't like to speak in front of the class, you could do something with Windows Movie Maker or iMovie, which are free programs that are part of either a Windows machine or a Mac, that you can include pictures, video footage, title screens, PowerPoint slides basically, and share with us via a video what you learned from your story or from your research paper, and then basically tell us a story. You basically in that moment start the file, show it to us, and sit down. So if you don't want to have to talk, you could do this type of presentation. If you also want to explore web-based versions of movie making, there is Extra Normal, which is located here. It is not completely free anymore, although they do give you 300 points to build a movie with, but it is text to speech. So all you would have to do is type in what you want the characters to say, and then it turns it into speech. Lots of neat backgrounds and characters to have some fun with that. Or maybe you want to look at Animoto, which is basically a 30-second for free video where you import pictures and graphics and then set music to it to tell your story. If you like to scrapbook, you might want to do a digital poster with Glogster, and I would encourage you to use the EduGlogster site just because it's more filtered and we don't find things that may be unsavory for future students to see on the main Glogster site. But basically it is a video poster. It's a huge whiteboard or a huge poster board that you can post just about anything on, to include pictures, video, web links, text, music, anything pretty much that you can find on the web you can post, as well as type your own content. And then as you present to us, you will just navigate around the screen to show us the different sections of your poster. If you have a group of people that have similar topics, maybe you want to do a panel discussion. Basically, this is where several people with similar or related topics sit at the front of the room in a chair and each take a turn for a few minutes to discuss their stance on the issue. And then the audience can ask questions and get feedback from you about your topics. If you go this route, make sure you do have some kind of technology tool as part of your presentation, like a PowerPoint or something that you can put up behind you as a guide for the audience to be able to follow along with your main points. Or maybe you have a different idea. This project is really meant to be very open-ended, so how you present is up to you. The how is completely open. It's the what that is determined and critical for everyone to include. You definitely need to include rich content that you've learned from this project of doing the research paper. And you need to share what you know and what you have learned via some kind of technology tool. You must discuss the background and definitions on your issue so that the audience has a common knowledge of what you're talking about first. And then you must detail research study results. So in other words, the meat of your paper. Give us those details and what the research says about your issue. And then ask us questions. Get us involved. Get our opinions or our reactions. Do something with us so that we're not just sitting passively. Most of you want to become teachers. This is your chance to be the teacher. Think of this presentation as a way for you to teach us about the issue. So how you do that can be very creative, very interactive, and a lot more interesting than the typical PowerPoint presentation with bullets where you read main points to us off a screen. Please keep your presentation to 5 minutes or so, definitely no more than 10 minutes per person, and then make sure you leave some time after your presentation for audience comments or discussion. Here are some tips to get you started to make sure as you build your presentation you do it in a way that will get you the most points. As you think about your content, make sure you include the background on the issue so that we understand what you're talking about. Define keywords that are important for us to understand, and detail the key research studies related to your topic. As you organize your presentation, make sure that your opening immediately grabs us and engages us so that we pay attention and are interested. Make sure that you organize your presentation so that we can follow along and not get lost. And make sure you have a powerful closing so that your issue and your conclusions that you've drawn from doing this paper are interesting and powerful to us as well. And as you plan your visual aids, make sure they are technology-based. Make sure they're integral to your presentation, and make sure you employ effective design. I'll talk more about that in a second. And then also make sure that you cite your sources properly, both in text and on a reference page, because you do need to give credit for the content that you share. As you think about effective design, particularly if you're going to stick with a traditional presentation, there are some key skills related to designing a PowerPoint, for example, that you need to keep in mind. There is a rule called the 6x6 rule, and that simply means no more than 6 bullets per slide, no more than 6 words per bullet. Keep your phrases short and sweet and direct. Never write incomplete sentences when you're designing a technology tool-oriented presentation. That goes for if you're using Prezi or a Keynote or even a Glog. Definitely keep it short and sweet. Use the presentation time when you're talking with us to expand on the ideas. Think about the font, size, and color that you use. Make sure it will be readable in a classroom with the lights on. Typically speaking, the best way to ensure that is a white background with black text, much like you see in this presentation. Make sure your font size is large enough that we can read it in the back of the room. A nice trick to see if that will be the case is to stand 6 feet away from your monitor, and if you can read the words, chances are in a bigger classroom with a projector, we'll be able to read the words as well. And then, of course, make sure that you include your in-text citations formatted in APA style and a reference page at the end also in APA style. But remember, some presentation software like PowerPoint makes it very difficult to do a hanging indent or double spacing, so that is not really a critical piece of the grade. It's the content of those citations and the style that they're written in that's more important. And some tips for success for performing your presentation: make sure you're calm and confident, and try not to have distracting behaviors like swaying side to side or chewing gum or saying or like a lot. Make sure you're loud enough to be heard. Make sure you speak clearly and not too fast. And make sure you're enthusiastic. Use appropriate gestures and eye contact to keep us engaged. And please keep to the time limit of about 5 minutes, no more than 10 minutes, so that we can all stay on track to complete all of the presentations as scheduled. And then lastly, make sure you look professional. Now, I'm not saying that you have to come dressed like you're coming to an interview, but let's try to avoid the ripped jeans or sweatpants and actually look nice to give the presentation. And then finally, briefly here, you can see the grading rubric, which is also posted in a more readable Excel file in Blackboard, so you can see where the grade will come from. 2 points is for your poise, voice, eye contact, gestures, and appearance. 4 points for your content. 4 points for the technology tool, visual aid that you use. 1 point for the spelling, grammar, punctuation, content. 2 points that you're within the time limit. 4 points for your APA reference list and in-text citations. And then 3 points for the interactivity of the presentation. Keep in mind that you need to engage us. You need to talk to us. We need to talk to you. We need to do something throughout this presentation besides just sit there. So in order to get the 3 points, it needs to be authentic and highly interactive participation and discussion. As you think about what you might want to do for this project, if you decide to do something different than what is listed in this presentation, I would appreciate you running the idea past me first. If you would like to see some examples of what other students have done related to these different technology tools and other ways to approach the project, then we will be able to share those with you during the class time as scheduled this afternoon.